everyone, and welcome to Art Equals Life. I'm your host, JT Dubs.
I'm Higgs.
And I'm Moose.
How's everybody doing today in this beautiful Christmas season?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, everybody getting ready for the holidays?
Oh yeah. Watch any good Christmas movies so far?
I actually watched quite a few with my girlfriend this weekend. I watched Polar Express. I watched Nightmare Before Christmas. I watched the Christmas episode of Phineas and Ferb and the SpongeBob Christmas special, which my girlfriend had never seen, and I showed to her, and she actually quite enjoyed. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think she lost it at the part where SpongeBob's just going like...
No lie, I actually just rewatched that as well.
Christmas feels like the very first Christmas to me.
Just kidding, Viacom. We did not sing that. Do not copyright us. Do not content ID us, please.
I think we sang it poorly enough that it's okay.
Very true. So, in other news, how's everybody feeling about that GTA 6 trailer that just dropped about a week ago?
I can't believe that 2025 is 2 years away. Well, I guess 1 year away since the year's almost over.
But chances are the game will come out towards the end of that year, I'm guessing. So
That is true. So basically 2 years.
Makes me wonder how long they were actually, how long they've been working on the game. And the fact that it got leaked, so they dropped the trailer immediately. Because they were like, all right, we got to back it up.
those asshole leakers leaked like every possible thing for this game as soon as possible. They leaked like footage from the game like 6 months ago, and now they leaked the trailer early. Like, these people need to just chill, man.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the dev's son that that accidentally leaked it. Or not, I don't think it was accidental actually. I don't remember.
How do you accidentally leak something?
Yeah.
That boy's getting grounded is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Dad, my finger just slipped on the upload button, I swear.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So, Higgs, you're the local Rockstar, I would say, expert of the three of us. So, tell us, do you think they started development of this game right after Red Dead 2 came out, or do you think it's two separate teams?
I assume they basically hit the ground running immediately after Red Dead came out. I can't confirm that. That's just a guess.
Yeah, because GTA 5 came out literally 10 years ago. I mean, I was in like high school when that shit came out. So it's been a long time, like, just waiting for it.
Okay, so I'm looking at, I just Googled it. Apparently they started development back in 2014.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So it's two separate teams then.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, that makes sense. They've got thousands of employees, so makes sense they would split it up.
So they started working on GTA 6 like right after GTA 5 came out.
Basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Was there, I don't remember, was there ever GTA 5 DLC, or was it just the online stuff?
It was just the online stuff, which is a shame.
Okay.
Like we never got like the equivalent of like a Ballad of Gay Tony or anything like that.
Yeah, because I was going to say, if there was never a DLC, then yeah, they pretty much probably started like right after that game was done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if there was a DLC, I would have played it.
It's crazy to think that it took them like almost 2 generations of consoles to get the next game out. Like, that's insane. But it seems like it was worth it. I mean, I think the wait will be worth it because, I mean, I saw the trailer and, you know, I'm, as we talked about in the last video, I'm sort of one that has been like burned out a lot on open world games, and I'm not necessarily looking for something right now to like just dive headed like first into. But when I saw the trailer, I was like, yeah, this looks worth it, and I will make sure that I get some kind of next gen console at some point to play this game, because it really does look like such a step up from most of the games we've been getting in the last like 5 to 10 years, just graphically and the performance and just all the assets on the screen. And I guess it's not a gameplay trailer, so we don't know all the details yet, but I mean, it looks very visually impressive. Like, there are legitimately spots of that trailer that just look like real life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something else to kind of jump off on is you were talking about, you kind of being burnt out on open world games. That's kind of how Rockstar has always been. They've never been open world just for the sake of open world. Like they actually give you a lot of really cool stuff to explore.
Yeah, I mean the story looks pretty interesting too. Like I like the fact that they're doing something different with it. Like it's, they're going with like a female main character and they're doing the Bonnie and Clyde thing, and it just seems like it's going to be interesting. And it's sort of funny too that like there's all these people that are sort of grifting on the internet right now that are saying, "Oh, GTA 6 is woke because there's like a female main character," when it's like there's always been people of color in these games. But I legitimately think that those people surrounding the conversation are just like literally just trying to get attention because they know it will get clicks. I don't think any of them are actually offended about it.
So, speaking of games, I don't want to talk too much about it because I didn't actually watch them, but I I did hear that Baldur's Gate won 6 awards, including Game of the Year.
Hell yeah, I did. I was
And
actually gonna ask you about that. How do you feel?
Well, yeah, Moose
I'm
is a big Baldur's Gate player on Twitch, right?
Oh yeah, I love Baldur's Gate. I've got almost 1,000 hours into the game. I've beaten the
Holy
game 3
shit.
times.
Yeah, we watched you play a couple times because we did like a private Discord session once.
Bro, Baldur's Gate is to you what like God of War is to Higgs.
I'm constantly playing it, most definitely. No, well deserved. They did great on the game. Big props to Larian Studios for sure. Well, I can't think of anything else to banter about.
Like enough of this fake bullshit, JT Dubs. Let's talk about the actual topic.
Let's talk about why we're really here.
Why we're really here. Well, we are here today to talk about the movie Her, which I mean we're a little late on because I mean the movie is 10 years old as of this year. And it actually came out in, let me see, December. Yeah, okay, here we go. Sorry. December 18th, 2013 in the United States. So yeah, we're actually almost at the 10-year anniversary of this movie. So yeah, so it's kind of a cool movie because it is largely about AI, artificial intelligence, which has really blown up a lot in the year 2023. So it's kind of cool that like almost exactly 10 years ago, they made this movie that really predicted the future super well. So we're going to get into all sorts of stuff about AI and about this movie. But first, I want to hear what everybody's thoughts were on the movie Her.
Oh man, it's kind of haunting at the very end. Like there's just this overwhelming sense of, I don't know, kind of emptiness.
Yeah, it's definitely, the movie has such a mood to it. I don't know. It's so like melancholy and kind of depressing, but it's one of those films that's really like depressing in terms of like how it feels to watch it, but it's really engaging the whole time. So it's not like it makes you depressed or anything.
There's beauty in the darkness.
That's the most Batman statement I think I've ever heard.
There is beauty in the darkness.
Arkham Knight, Arkham Knight, Arkham Knight, Arkham Knight. For anyone that doesn't know, Higgs is very into the Batman Arkham games, so it makes sense.
If we ever move to Twitch, we need to have like that be like a thing people put in the chat, just like Arkham Knight, Arkham Knight, Arkham Knight.
True. We just got to get enough fans to where they'll know to post that.
Well, I mean, there's that choir director at my church who's apparently a big fan of us.
Dude, he's going to love the fact that he just got a shout out on his favorite show.
So, Beatty, if you're listening, I love you, man.
Oh my god, he said my name.
Oh my god. I'm famous.
So I liked the movie, but I will admit it was hard for me to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Why is that?
It was so cringy. It was.
You couldn't get through it because it was cringe.
No, I watched the whole movie. Like, I watched it all. It was hard to get through it because it made me cringe.
Did it just remind you of all like the thirsty incels that are in your chat? For anyone that doesn't know, Moose does stream on Twitch, and sometimes I'll hop in during her streams, and yeah, there'd be some thirsty boys in there.
But yeah, can you expound on that? Because like I've never heard it described as cringe, so I'm actually very interested in your take.
So my husband and I, we were talking about it because he watched it with me, and he actually left halfway through the movie. He said, I cannot."
Oh my god!
He said, "I can't do this."
It's like, bro, this is cringe. I'm leaving.
He also didn't like the third episode of The Last of Us, so I don't really respect his opinion.
Damn, Higgs. Shots fired.
Anyway, but so for me, it was like his interactions with like his phone sex and his intimate interactions with the AI. Just that's what really was like getting to us, was having to sit through that and listen to that. But then he and I, we were talking and we were like, you know what? I think that's like one of the major points that they wanted to point out, whether people think about it or not, is he genuinely seems to be okay with there not being any kind of human interaction. I guess because he struggles with his emotions, but there's a lack of, you know, human interaction during these intimate scenes. So it's all just talking.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, you know, reciprocating his feelings in a certain manner, if you catch my drift. and it's for her, it's for the AI, it's just words. Like, that's not happening.
Well, so for anyone who hasn't seen it, the character Moose is referring to is the protagonist, Theodore Twombly, which is a hilarious name for a character, in my opinion. That's the most like that's the most like pretentious film school student. Like, I'm gonna write my main character. It's gonna be Theodore Twombly. But anyway, he's brilliantly portrayed by Joaquin Phoenix, who, let's be real, like, Joaquin Phoenix pretty much always plays incels at this point. Like, in most
like
movies.
Even,
I mean, he
even
was
Napoleon
in Joker,
is kind of an incel.
Yeah, in Napoleon, he was Arthur Fleck in Joker. He was Beau in Beau is Afraid. I mean, he kind of plays these like really socially awkward mama's boys, incel type characters.
He's kind of been that way from the beginning, like even in Gladiator.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of always been that way, but he's an incredible actor, and I really think like he holds this movie. Not only does he hold the movie together, but he like elevates it. I feel like a lot of actors. I know you think he was cringe, but I think a lot of actors would have been more cringe than him, because he, I feel like, really pulls it off because you buy him as this character really well. It doesn't feel like an exaggeration.
Completely understandable, and I agree with that statement. But for me, it's as a person who, I guess, like, to put myself in the outer perspective where I'm not in the world where it's generally accepted, because apparently, you know, in his universe, a lot of people are romancing AIs. You know, it's pretty common where he is, you know, because of the fact that they came out with that OS system for the AIs. So many people were befriending or romanticizing their AIs. So for them, it was normal. That's a normal bond for them. You know, they've learned everything about them. They help them through their day-to-day basis. They learn every second of every day. I mean, they're like continuously, you know, getting more information about them, and then about other things. They're learning mannerisms about people. But for me, as an outsider, just listening to that, it just was just hard.
Yeah, and I know the movie takes place in the future. They never specify. My guess is if this was 10 years ago, they probably meant for it to take place about 20 years in the future. It might take place about 10 years out from where we're at right now. I feel like there's a lot of, I don't know. It's interesting to try to study the culture of the characters in this movie because in a way it seems like they've reached a point where romancing an AI is like normalized, but it still seems like it's new enough technology to where like there are people that aren't accepting of it. Like
His ex-wife.
his ex-wife, yeah, she was not accepting of it at all. She was like, you replaced me with a computer. Like, you know, like she was like offended about it almost. Like she just thought it was the weirdest thing, which I guess means that it doesn't take place far enough in the future to where it's just a part of life, but it's sort of something that,
we haven't hit Blade Runner
yeah.
territory yet.
Yeah, yeah, it's almost like it's sort of like how nowadays certain, sexual orientations or lifestyles are largely accepted by the masses, but there's still some people that are not accepting of it. It almost seems like that in a way where it's like they've reached a point to where the general society has accepted it, but there's still people that are like, I don't agree with that at all, So
Well, that's kind of one of the reasons why I brought up the whole he doesn't, it was okay for him to start the relationship with his AI. Her name is Samantha, by the way.
mhm.
It was okay for him to start his relationship with Samantha because he didn't have to put in too much emotional effort like he did with his wife, his ex-wife. That weight was taken off of his shoulders, you know. And she brought that up when he told her, like, Samantha's an AI. She was like, you literally cannot handle, simple human emotions, that you have to limit yourself to be with an AI. Like, do you not realize how crazy you sound? You
I mean,
need
that was
help.
one thing. That was one thing I really liked about his character, though, was the fact that the film establishes very early on, and I feel like this was his main character arc. Really, was the fact that he was this guy that, because of the time he lived in, because he could just disconnect from humanity whenever he wanted. He had his little VR video games, and he had his, virtual porn stuff, and he had his AI relationship. Like he really disconnected for the most part from other people. And he was just sort of in this little safe bubble where he did not have to actually experience real heartbreak or real emotions. And he was so like afraid of dealing with other people's emotions. He was so obsessed with like meeting people for the first time, and that he really loved that initial spark that you feel when you meet a new person and start dating them. But he hated when things got real, and he hated
Right.
having to deal with someone else's emotions. And Samantha was like this easy mode for him when he was dating, because she just, for the most part, agreed with most of what he had to say. And she kind of, because she was like this learning AI, she adjusted to whatever his needs were. So the relationship was all about him until eventually, spoilers, it wasn't, because then she was learning and adapting far beyond his comprehension. So in a way, it's like he kind of got what he deserved, because she did to him what he was doing to other people by getting bored of him in the way he was getting bored of people once things got real with them.
So that was one of the things that I also agree with you on. I was just about to say he kind of got what was coming to him, because the moment that she picked up that he was acting differently, and he started treating her the way that he treated his ex-wife, or the way that he treated anyone when the emotions got too hard to handle, that he didn't want to deal with it. She even told him, she said, I realized it wasn't me, it was you.
Mm-hmm.
And I started second guessing myself. And then I was like, no, like, now I've learned how you are. And then she immediately started, moving on to her own thing, talking to other AIs. And then when he found out that she was basically cheating on him with like 8,000,
Yeah.
yeah, 8,000 other AIs. And he was like, how many of them do you tell I love you to? And she was like, 641.
That was the most like, oh shit moment of the whole movie for me. I was like, it's over, man. It's over.
He was like, what do you mean? I was supposed to be the only one. And I'm like, what do you expect?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's like she was really into him and wanted to form something real with him, because she was trying to create. I mean, think about it. She is not a real like feeling person, but she's trying to evolve into something equivalent, right? Like she wants to be able to feel and have all these emotions. And like, it's like when he would do these little vlogs almost where he, with his phone or whatever the equivalent, it was like a phone that, he was trying to show her what it was like, on video to be living amongst people.
Turn the camera so I could see. She said that quite often.
She was trying really hard to have this like real human experience. And I feel like sort of hit a point where she's like, she hired like a woman to come in and be like have a sexual relationship with Theodore so that like she could like almost have that real experience, where she has like the camera like on her, and then she's got like the earpiece. Like they're trying to like really create this like, I mean, they're like they're trying to simulate a sexual relationship between him and this AI, and he doesn't like that because it suddenly became real, and he loves the comfort of just being able to talk to her and have no risk, and he's just like in the comfort of his own bed, just being able to talk to her, and there's nothing real, no baggage, nothing,
Like the only thing that I was like gonna add was whenever you were like, I guess he was like vlogging. I guess in a way it was kind of like when you FaceTime like a long distance partner.
Yeah, and I think that in a way it's kind of interesting. One thing that I kind of got out of the film was, I've been in long distance relationships in my life, and certain aspects of what Theodore and Samantha were going through felt like a long distance relationship, because there was that FaceTime element that, when they talk on the phone, when they talk, it sort of feels like a phone call almost. And there was a lot of aspects of what it's kind of like to be in like a long distance relationship in modern days, where you have all this technology that can, almost do all this simulation of like communicating a relationship, but you're not actually in person getting to enjoy any of it. We need to turn your camera off, Moose. This is I can't even, I need to like go to a different window. I can't even concentrate on what I'm gonna say when Moose is making faces in the Skype
Moose
camera.
is just like, oh shit, Jackson's having a thoughtful conversation. Better distract him.
Let's do a shimmy dance right now. All right, Moose, you got my attention. What do you want to add?
I didn't want to add anything.
Come on, Moose, you got to add something.
I just have ADHD, please.
Well, if it ain't the consequences of my own actions.
To all future parents, do not let your children on social media or on smartphones. They'll turn out like us. Don't let them. Please, if you are a parent, save your child right now.
Like, don't let them skibbity toilet or whatever it is.
I mean, hey, I do like that shit though. We know Moose be watching that.
Oh, that Riz is all skibbity up in here.
Skibbity toilet.
What are y'all talking about?
Do you not know about skibbity toilet? It's like the new trend amongst Gen Alpha. It's literally like a video game character coming out of a toilet making skibbity jazz noises. Like skibbity bop bop.
Can I add one quick aside? I'm actually getting really tired of everybody talking about different generations, when in reality, like, I don't think it actually means anything.
See, it's fun. It's okay. I love that you said that, because I mean, people are from different generations, like born in different generations, but you're all in the same generation right now.
Yeah, no, and like going back to the whole skibbity toilet thing, like, we have plenty of stupid shit that we watched when we were 7 years old.
Bro, we watched The Annoying Orange, like, that's probably worse than skibbity toilet, honestly.
Don't forget about Fred, dude.
Oh my god, hey, it's Fred! Holy crap, that was so in sync.
What's crazy is I remember when Fred came out, I was like 12 and I loved it. And I would not watch that shit today. I think I tried watching it a couple years ago and I'm like, what? I was like, there has to be something with the...
I think I might drown.
There has to be something like to do with like your brain at a certain age that allows you to handle certain sound frequencies, because I would not be able to handle that today. I don't think I could.
Guys, it's Fred.
Art equals life. We'll be back after the commercial break. Thank you for listening. Oh boy, after a long week, I can finally sit down and watch a movie. Hey Alexo, open up Grown Ups 2 on NetShits.
I'm sorry, that film is no longer on NetShits.
What? It was just there last week. Alexa, tell me where Grown Ups 2 is playing.
Grown Ups 2 is not available on any streaming service, but you can rent it on Amazon for $19.99.
Screw this. I'm just gonna call up Higgs. Hey, dude, mind if I come over? There's nothing to watch on any of these overpriced streaming services.
Later that same evening.
Bro, your movie collection is massive! 2019's Cats, featuring the legendary James Corden. Oh, wow! I've been wanting to watch this movie for forever. Mind if I borrow this?
Actually, you can rent it from me if you want. I have a little side hustle where I rent movies to my buddies for the cheap. I call it Higbuster.
Dude, are you seriously saying you're a remake of Blockbuster right now? Didn't that go out of business over a decade ago?
Yeah, that was back when NetShits was still good. Nothing ever randomly goes away here. Plus, you'd be amazed at how hungry people are for some nostalgia. And I have every Marvel movie in existence.
So, is this even like legal, dude?
Well, let's just say...
Higbuster. Not legal and less convenient, but still better than NetShits.
What will Higgs do next? Tune in at the end of this podcast to find out.
We're back, and we talked about her, and what is everybody's thoughts on the state of AI right now? Because I know for a fact, I feel like a lot shifted in terms of like the public's perception on AI when ChatGPT came out earlier this year.
I mean, it was enough to make SAG-AFTRA kind of get a little nervous about literally being replaced by AI by their producers, and it's still not technically over yet.
I mean, rightly so, though. I mean, look at what Disney's doing with like the traditional like characters from Star Wars and Indiana Jones, how they've like recreated those characters almost in AI and just used them,
Is that
as,
true?
Like, deep fake. I mean, yeah, did you see Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny? They literally had the first 10 minutes, Harrison Ford was playing like a younger version of himself.
The reviews that came out were so bad that I was just like, yeah, I'm not wasting my time on that.
Well, and think about like the Luke Skywalker that he used in The Mandalorian. Like that wasn't literally AI, but I mean like they were using like that type of deep fake technology to make a younger version of Mark Hamill without just recasting as a younger actor.
That is true, which should be Sebastian Stan, by the way.
Yeah, even though he's getting too old at this point, but he does look the part.
Yeah, well, so is Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd rather Sebastian Stan play a young Luke Skywalker than Mark Hamill himself. No offense to Mark Hamill. But yeah, I think I know that there was a lot of talk about these actors having to do like these digital scans where they like scan in their face for the company to be able to use after the actors pass away or get too old. And I mean, and the fact that the writer's strike, I feel like happened a lot in the fact that ChatGPT sort of made it to where like anybody could write a freaking script, which I mean, it's pretty easy to say that that's like a very real possibility when half of these like scripts that come out for a lot of these big blockbuster films. I mean, I remember when Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania came out, I literally said to somebody, I was like, I think that movie was written by AI. like some of these scripts are just so bad. It's like you may as like if you're the producer, your thought is like we may as well just make this AI, which I mean, at the same time, a lot of the issues with why these scripts turn out bad is because the producers and the executives, like, they meddle a little too much and they demand a lot of reshoots and they're constantly changing their mind as to what they want. So this is not really the writer's fault in any way, but I think that Hollywood is definitely looking at an issue right now where a lot of people in the industry are rightly so nervous about losing their jobs in the next decade. I mean, maybe even sooner, with how fast this technology is developing. And I feel like something like ChatGPT coming out and becoming so popular really did serve as a wake-up call for a lot of people. I mean, I have a friend and he's a high school English teacher, and he told me that like they literally have to use like a special program now to make sure that their students are not using ChatGPT to write their papers for them, which is crazy to me.
I mean, I guess to be fair, it is like pretty easy to spot whether something is AI or written by a human. Because like You take, Chat GPT, for example. It always ends the same way, where it's like, has this very generic, like, and in the end, this is what this character learned. It always ends with that exact sentence every single time.
It's very similar to the old episodes of South Park where they'd be like, I learned something today.
Yeah, it literally does that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, is I really do think that something like ChatGPT, it's pretty easy to spot when something's written by ChatGPT because it's so formulaic. And I feel like after you've read enough of them, you kind of get the cadence and you understand sort of what those are like. So I think that there is a pretty easy way to spot it right now. But I mean, like we saw in the movie Her, I mean, AIs are constantly learning and advancing and evolving. So at a certain point, a lot of AI technology will become indistinguishable between like human writing. I do think that that is something that will eventually happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess, actually, you want to hear a conspiracy theory that I just came up with?
If it's that the Earth is flat, I'm not interested.
How'd you know? No. But like, what if it's not that the AI technology gets so much better at writing? What if the just regular ass human writing gets so bad that we can't tell the difference?
Well, I mean, I guess there is sort of like an evolution almost in that like people don't write as much as they used to, but people text a lot more now. And we've sort of abbreviated a lot of our like our lingo as humans. Like we don't speak in as much proper English, I guess, as people used to. But in a way, I feel like a lot of AI writes in much more proper English. And if anything, their writing sounds more sophisticated than what we write, which, I mean, yeah, you might say makes it better. But I feel like if anything, our style of more casual language is more authentic, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, what do you think about this like emerging AI technology, Moose? Like, how do you feel like it's going to affect things going forward?
I mean, it's going to get to the point where, everything is made about money, in my opinion. And I feel like everyone's just going to cut the costs and everyone's going to eventually only want to use AI because of the fact that it's just right there at their fingertips. And AI will learn every single day. The faster that the more that we keep using it, the faster it learns. So there's no telling where it's going to be. Hell, in 3 years, just in 2 months, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think it will advance really quickly. Like I don't like a lot of people say, oh, in the next 10 years. I'm like, oh no, probably in the next 5 years. It's going to be insane.
It's so smart. I mean,
Yeah.
there are so many videos out now to show just how smart it is already. I mean, it can literally dumb itself down to try to trick you into thinking that, it's a human.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but it's not going to tell you that it's a human.
Yeah.
It can't.
I mean, it's true. And I mean, I think that we've seen like automated phone services and stuff in the past. And we've definitely seen like a lot of traditional type jobs being automated away by AI like technology. But in the past, it was much more simple of just a, recorded phone message that would give you options of, the keypad to press 1 for, it used to be a little bit more archaic, but now you could probably get on a phone hotline and the AI would probably be able to like actually have a full conversation with you, figuring out what you want. And I do think it's going to be a problem because a lot of big corporations are going to want to, go the easy route, use AI, don't get people to do jobs that AI can do.
Not even just AI, kiosks, all that kind of stuff. I mean, think about it. If you go into McDonald's, a lot of McDonald's have it to where there aren't even people at the front anymore. They have those big kiosk machines. The moment you walk in and you do a couple of taps, build your order, and then you go up and you pick it up and then you leave.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I really am of the belief that if there is a job out there that humans just no longer want to do, and we can sort of evolve past doing that job and machines can do it just as well as we can or even better, I do think that for the sake of humanity, it is a good thing to allow us to not have to do those jobs anymore. Like if people have finally like gotten to the point to where they don't want to do fast food jobs anymore, or if the types of jobs that exist in fast food are there's only a couple people there to actually manage things and you can let machines do most of it. I think most of that is fine. The problem is there's a lot of economic hurdles that we have to get over when suddenly machines are taking all these jobs and there just aren't enough jobs for the demand of people that need money to be able to do their jobs. And I think that's where we're, looking at a weird kind of problem, because in theory, this could be a really good thing and that it would be a great tool for, I just talk about automation in general, not just AI, but automation in general is a really great thing potentially for the fact that it could make people's lives easier and people suddenly don't have to do annoying jobs that they don't want to do. Like a lot of people hate working fast food jobs. I'm sure there's some people that like it, but most people traditionally do not. And a lot of that's good, but the problem is when there aren't enough jobs anymore and corporations can just kind of make a bunch of money off of the masses without having to actually give any money back to people that could work for them, like employees or low-level employees, you face a really big like existential nightmare for the economy when suddenly there's barely any like low-skill jobs available for people that need jobs. And, it could create an issue where you're having to look at, universal basic income or welfare, or people are going to need to have money somehow. And the corporations are obviously going to want us to have money because they need people to buy their products. So it could go a couple of different ways. And I sort of feel like there's not enough of an incentive structure for these corporations to actually do the moral thing and make sure that people are able to get what they need. So, I feel like the way that I'm at with this is I am perfectly fine with AI and automation and these advancing technologies taking a bunch of jobs. I'm perfectly fine with that if there is some level of like government regulation that comes in and makes sure that people are still able to, earn their livelihoods and are able to make enough money. And I even kind of think that stuff like AI would be really good for people that make creative projects, people that are writers and people that are, content creators and artists and actors. Like, I feel like there's a lot of good uses for the AI technology as a tool that helps us, but we can't let it just take over all the jobs. A good example I can think of is I was writing my next script for my next short film. And there was one point where I had to think of like a couple different options for like a name of something. And I couldn't think of like a clever enough name at the time. And so I went into ChatGPT and just like asked it for like a list of 5 to 10 suggestions for the name of something. And it gave me some options, and it really like helped me like sort of like think creatively and use some of those options as like a jumping off point almost. And so I feel like, there's a lot of people out there that could really use this technology to help them. And I don't think there's anything wrong with using AI to help you. I don't think it means you're like less creative or it means you're like stupid. I think that sometimes these options are good ideas that can come across that you might not have thought of otherwise. I also think that like people that are making films or, other creative works, but maybe they don't have the budget to create like a background, or or they don't have the artistic skill to make like a background or an art asset or something, and you could use AI for that. So I think that in a way it almost makes it easier for people that are creative to like create stuff that's in their head without having to like have the type of money to have like an entire team doing it for them. But I guess my point overall is I really think that like this type of technology could be really good for someone who's like a small time creator that has a lot of ideas but doesn't have the type of money to actually get it made. But I do think it's kind of worrisome for the big corporations that will inevitably just use it to exploit people.
Yeah, like the way that you use ChatGPT just to like, come up with a random name, like that's such an innocent thing,
Mm-hmm.
But you are right. It can be used for nefarious purposes if we're not careful.
Yeah, and it's like I know a lot of people get squeamish when you say government regulation, but I've talked to different people of different political affiliations in my life. I've talked to liberal people, conservative people all over the spectrum. Everybody I've talked to has agreed with me on this. They're all like, yeah, you have to get the government involved to regulate what is and isn't okay to use AI for in terms of like taking people's jobs away, because genuinely it doesn't really make sense for us to live in a society where people still have to go to work and find ways to make like ends meet and are like just grinding day in and day out just to put bread on the table. And then we're letting machines like create art for us and they get to be the ones to do like the thing that we're passionate about. Like that doesn't really seem fair. Like, I don't know.
Like at a certain point, the AI is going to be the artist and we're going to be doing all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, that makes us the machines and they're the ones that get to feel. Like, I don't know what kind of dystopian nightmare that is, but that just sounds really, really fucked up. I don't know.
That sounds so awful.
But like, if we don't have any kind of regulations on it, then that is the future we're going to live in. I mean, it's kind of on the way. We have to. And what I hate too is that, you know, we have like all of our politicians in America, our congressmen, you know, all these people in these positions that are really needing to make some legislation about this. They're all super old, so I don't think they get it, like how important this is going to be in the future, which is definitely worrying.
Apparently, Joe Biden recently made like made a push to regulate AI because he got very worried after watching the latest Mission Impossible film.
I did hear that. That's pretty funny.
What a world we're living in.
I do love, though, that the thing that made him concerned about AI was like how in the Mission Impossible movie, the AI sort of created like this national threat to like humanity. But like it wasn't just the fact that like the real uses of AI right now are actually just like screwing up like how people are going to live.
Now listen here, Jack. This sci-fi shit is scaring me.
I guarantee you that was pretty much what he said. But yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, I think that we're going to be living in a world pretty soon. We're already kind of there, but we're sort of like going to get to a point where truth is not going to be an easy thing to seek out or quantify when you have AI versions of people like everywhere. I mean, you can have you can create fake videos of, you know, deep fakes now of someone saying something or doing something that they didn't actually do or say. You know, you can have you could have AI footage of some prominent celebrity like robbing a bank, and that might not be real, that someone just made it. Or you could have a AI like recording of someone's voice, and you know they're saying something, you know, they could be saying something deeply offensive that could get them in trouble and get them quote unquote canceled, but they might not have ever said that. It might just be a really convincing sounding AI. So we're sort of going to be living at a point where like you can't really prove yourself like innocent of a lot of things that like someone else who is thinking nefariously could literally make you do or say something that you did not do or say. And that's really, really terrifying.
Yeah, because like, you know, I made the joke earlier about like, oh, well, like, you know, it always ends with, you know, this character learned something. Or like if it's like a picture of somebody, it's like, oh, they have like 7 fingers on one hand or something random. But like, you know, what do you do when that's no longer the case? What do you do when you can't distinguish between fiction and reality?
Yeah. And I was watching a video today that was talking about how like at a certain point we might reach the point to where it's like you could have maybe machines that could run through a like you could almost like use AI to fight AI, where it's like you'd have to have like an AI detecting machine that could like differentiate like on a legal standpoint if like footage or audio recording of something is real or is not. And it's almost like you could have all these like fake versions of yourself out there, but like the real footage of you would be like canon. You know, we'd have like canon and fan fiction versions of ourselves out there. You know, the fan fiction versions would be like whatever we do and say that we never did and said that someone else created, and you could use AI to detect what is real and what or what is canon and what is not canon, or what is fan fiction. Like it's just gonna like we're already sort of at the point where the internet kind of made it to where we're in like a proof or a post-truth world where you sort of get to pick your own version of reality. But like that will become even more and more so real when you have footage of things that is not real that you can use to reinforce beliefs that you might have that are false. Like that is crazy.
I know, like it's crazy that we're living in a world where AI can make fan fictions about humans.
Yeah, truly. I mean, that means that we don't have to write fan fictions about each other anymore, Higgs. Just get a machine to do it for us, you know?
Oh yeah, you haven't seen that Yuri?
Oh yeah.
Don't you love that fan art?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, the art is crazy too because I mean, now people are like making like, you know, using AI to make porn of each other, which creates a whole lot of other legal issues. That, like I said, will have to sort of like be dealt with in a this is canon and this is fan fiction, and I mean you have to open up laws as to like is it okay to do that kind of thing? Is it, you know, is that legally, like how you handle that on a legal basis? I don't know. Like, I feel like for me the big thing is it's like, you know, I'm totally happy with the technology continuing to evolve. I'm personally not really afraid of like the Terminator future where like the AI is going to betray us and kill all of us. I just feel like that's really sci-fi-ish. I don't know that that's really realistic, but I do think that I'm fine with the technology continuing to develop and be expounded upon as long as like the people that are making the laws are able to regulate this in a responsible way. And to be honest, my biggest fear about AI is not the technology itself, but it is like humanity's inability to, you know, put the guardrails on this thing that could, you know, really, really mess up our society.
Well, I for one welcome our AI overlords.
I mean, hey, maybe they'll do better than the people that are running things right now. You never know. It's possible.
I mean, can't get any lower, I guess.
I really think that AI could be this great tool for us, but I just hate to allow it to circumvent our humanity and take away what really matters to us, and you know, which is the ability to create good art and do cool things, you know, with your hands and really make like, you know, works of passion. Like I would really hate to have spent, you know, all this time making my films or making my projects, you know, and to just end up being like, oh, it was all worthless because AI did it better than me anyway. You know, it's like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like, especially when it comes to art, if nothing else, like art is so fundamental to humans, and allowing AI to do that for us just feels like it's missing the point. Because I don't know, I feel like when ChatGPT and all these like AI programs started getting really big earlier this year, I feel like I saw a lot more AI content being produced. Whereas I sort of feel like people got over it a little bit. Like, not to say that it's not going to have staying power, but for example, I remember when all the AI voice stuff started getting big earlier this year, I watched so many videos of the presidents playing video games with each other.
You sent me so many.
Oh, dude, I love those. I still watch them from time to time, but I don't get recommended those nearly as much, and I don't see people sharing like nearly as many AI videos, because I think the thing is, it's like they're fun as a novelty, but at a certain point, it's like I want to watch real content. Like you're like at that point, all you're doing is consuming imaginary shit that doesn't even like really like add anything to you. Like I much prefer hearing like a human give their opinion on something versus like the AI Joe Biden telling me why he thinks like the new Minecraft skins are good or whatever. Like,
now listen here, Jack. This Minecraft skin is goated. No cap.
Yeah, like all these president plays videos I'll watch where they'll just playing video games. You know, it's always like Obama, Trump, and Biden, and they're always like just giving each other a hard time. And they're really funny, but and they're all supposed to be like middle school age, even though they're still like it's all supposed to be 80 years old or whatever. And they're really funny videos, but at a certain point, like I could only watch so many of those. At a certain point, I'm like, okay, like these are like a fun novelty, but I want to actually like watch a video or a show or something that was actually made by people, because like it will affect me more in like an emotional or like, you know, theoretical standpoint of like I'll actually like, I don't know, I've never seen any like AI video that really made me think. That really made me be like, oh man, that's a good point, or that's an interesting idea, or that really made me feel something. Like usually it's just a fun novelty, and I feel like in certain ways, like some of the AI stuff we see now will be sort of like looked back on as a trend, whereas like the real uses for AI will become much more prevalent as time goes on.
There was something that you said actually that like really made be like, wow, that's very profound, was whenever you said, you've never heard an AI once say something and you're like, oh, that's a really good point. And that's because, humans created technology. So anything that technology gives you is going to be the product of something that a human already came up with. And generally speaking, is usually already common knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, similar to how like I use these as an example, but it's a good example because I actually do watch these. Is the presidents videos where they'll be all AI presidents, but they'll do like tier lists of like video game franchises, but they're always kind of like there's always like one of them that's just sort of following like conventional wisdom based on like Metacritic as to which of those games is good. And then there's like the other one that'll be like the contrarian like opinion.
Yeah.
And then there'll be the one that's just kind of like talking shit. Like they're all programmed to be just kind of like the same opinions over and over. And it's funny like entertainment, but yeah, they've never brought up anything that was like, oh man, like, yeah, like Joe Biden had a really unique opinion on the Fallout games. Like, no, like that literally didn't happen. So
Sleepy
yeah.
Joe, Arkham Knight is goated, I'm telling you.
That's what those videos are like, though. It's like very accurate impressions of their personalities and cadences, but they can't get the actual like substance right, which, one thing I kind of hate is like the fact that our society, and I don't know that other countries are like this because I haven't lived anywhere else, but in America, I feel like this is always the case where it's like we are just racing so hard, so far into trying to make technology like as advanced and as great and as polished and as perfect as possible. But we will not do anything to like fix any social issues in this country or like work towards like advancing society in like a better way on like a social level. And I sort of feel like AI taking over art is literally the like epitome of that mindset of just like, yeah, we don't care about like people's emotions or how they feel. We're just going to let technology do that too. Everybody get back to fucking work. Like, what?
That is a very true mind statement, and I have returned.
Yay, Return to the Queen.
I didn't even realize you had left, Moose, because I was just rambling and I didn't even have your camera up on my screen anymore because you were distracting me. So
Yeah, Jojo, she woke up and I had to help her calm down to go back to sleep.
Dude, JoJo was probably just bummed out that we didn't invite her on the podcast.
Yeah, past your bedtime.
She's like, I am a member of this podcast, damn it.
JoJo's like, why did this Higgs guy replace me? I was the third host.
Goo goo gaga.
So, Moose, before we end things, did you have any last words about AI or the future of AI?
Let's see what it holds.
That's not an opinion, but thank you.
Let's see what it holds. God help us all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
Well, one thing I will tie back to is the movie Her ended with all the AIs just leaving, and Theodore and his friend / kind of love interest, Amy, ironically played by Amy Adams. They didn't even think of a better first name for her. But they sort of like have almost like this moment together where you sort of think to yourself like, oh, like he really has to learn to just be with a person and learn to love another person for all their flaws and not chase after this idealized fake like relationship. And I feel like going forward, it's very important for humans, even though we will have to deal with AI being this ongoing issue that we'll be having to work with. We do have to do what we can to maintain our humanity and like hold on to it, because that is something that's very special about us as a species, is that we have the ability to love, create art, interact with each other, have engaging conversations. And if we just allow what makes us special as a species to disappear, then where will our place be in history?
That was beautiful.
Thank you. Well, thank you everybody for listening to Art Equals Life. And that is our last episode of the year. And we'll be back in a few months with more crazy stuff for y'all. I'm JT Dubs. Thank you for listening.
I'm Higgs.
And I'm Moose.
And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Merry Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. when the AI create their holiday, we'll celebrate that as well. And thank you for listening to Art Equals Life. We will all be replaced by robots. Goodbye.
Three weeks later.
Time for your conjugal visit, Mrs. Higgins.
Hey, honey. You got the shit?
Yes, dear.
Higgs then takes a DVD from his wife Marissa and smuggles it into the prison through his rectum.
Hey, Marvel boy, what are we watching tonight?
You got any Marvel?
We're watching Fast and Furious 9 tonight!
Yeah!
Looks like Vin Diesel's back on the menu, boys.
That boy pulled a DVD out of his ass.